Hello, welcome to my Sequential Growth Series. This is going to be episode or part number 10 on the ninth point of view. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching this video. If you are brand new and this is just intriguing to you, I would highly suggest watching the other parts before this one, just because they are sequential. And what I'm going to speak about here in the final point of view or perspective of 9 is really that recircling back to number 1, and how 1 and 9 are a bit like bookends, sort of mirror each other and are very similar in their roles and in their appearance. However, they of course have some differences. But if you haven't seen the prior videos, it's probably time better spent watching from part 1 up until now. Not to say that you can't, you surely can do whatever you want. But I'm going to be just kind of giving a summation here in this final part 10 at the end of my first section of this series. If you are brand new, just to give you an idea, what I'm talking about here in the first section is this sequential growth flow, how energy moves through these different patterns, and what it looks like, and the fact that we're not actually looking at anything different when we see all these different patterns. It's the same project idea system of energy, but just a different perspective and proximity, distance, angle that we are interacting with the information, with the flow. So understanding how each one is integrally interconnected to that before it and after it. And also they all really do play a influential role on, even if they're not touching each other, like 1 and 7 and 6 and 4, 6 and 2, 8 and 1, all of these numbers, what happens at each phase impacts all the other phases. And so, like I mentioned, if you haven't seen the other videos, it could be really helpful to watch those first, just to understand what 9 is the summation of. For those of us who have been here, thank you so much for returning. Thank you for enjoying the content, and I'd love to hear feedback, conversations, comments, critiques, kindly aligned, Feel free to send me messages, emails about anything, or leave comments if you like to let others know as well. It's always wonderful for people to see organic conversations happening in the comments, to let people know there are real people interacting and communicating here in internet land, right? So feel free for that, and let's hop into 9. So, as mentioned in the previous video, for the perspective of 8 and 9 are non-physical representations of what we've already built through 1 to 7. 7 is that final phase of physical manifestation of a formation or a solidity being created around whatever the system, the project, the idea is. And so there's sort of nothing new happening, but also there can be a lot of alterations taking place at 9. I used this reference, I think, in 7, which I'll bring forth again, which is if the entire concept, if the number 1 was writing a letter to a friend about, your summer vacation. Take it schooly-ish, I'm already on homeschool mode, considering it's early in my morning and I'll be jumping into school after this. Yeah, whatever. And this is the example I used in the other video. So, 1 through 7 is really about writing that letter, figuring out what we want to put in the letter, what we want to leave out of it, how we're going to make it look. When it comes down to number 7, that's like proofreading and editing and putting your signature at the bottom, making sure all your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, making sure your penmanship looks nice, everything to finish out that letter, the actual physical intention of what you wanted to do, make a letter to a friend, is really done with 7. You're not going to go and rewrite the letter at 8 or 9. You're not going to be like, oh, if something comes up in 9 that you realize that you forgot, this is a classic PS moment, a postscript, right? We don't just go and rewrite the whole letter and add it in and try to figure out where you're going to work it in. You could just write PS. I forgot A, B, and C. This is it. It's good to see you, And that can happen in 8 or 9, because whether it's a karmatic retribution sort of thing that comes in, you put yourself, as you reread that letter, you put yourself in your friend's feet, and then you realize, oh, they wouldn't have known this, whole reason I said this, so let me give them a bit of background information about this. Or, oh, shoot, I had totally meant to mention I got a new cat this summer. Let me put in P.S. I got a cat. I'll tell you about it next time. Those can come up in 8 or even phase 9. But it doesn't change who you wrote the letter to, the main body of it, why you got into it, and the whole thing. That really has already been solidified in 7. The phase of 9 would be like the envelope being sealed shut, putting a stamp on it and putting it in your mailbox for the mailman to come and get it. Excuse me. There's still activity to be done. There's still a phase of sort of the closing of the door, the threshold to the whole new product, the whole new, you're free from that letter, you're free from that experience. You can build it into 10, 11, 12 when your friend receives a letter and you send it back, or if you're negative minded, you'll be totally micromanaging what the mailman's doing and tracking it and stuff like that, and that will bring you into 10 and 11. But if you're a free creator and balance of exchange, you let that go and it's done. And you sort of clip it and you're on to the next thing. You're on to a whole new one. You go back to the 0 space of complete potentiality and figure out a new endeavor to get involved in. Free and clear. So 9 is like the finishing stage or phase, and it's a review point as well. It's not just a review like 8 is, because 8 is an activity of reviewing things that happen, of how that service could interact with others out there, about what their opinions could be about that. It really is kind of like 8 is the feedback loop. 9 is after communications, after feedback has been given, and it asks us as the main creator to seal the deal, to either extend it out into growing into double digits if necessary or wanted or desired, or like I said, just sort of use it as bookends, close the book on it and say, this is it, 1 to 9 is all here, click, here it is, bye, on to something new. The beauty of 9 is that it reflects all of the phases, and it understands, interacts, and honors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is a beautiful truth showcased to us even through math, where people will call 9 sort of the imaginary number, where anything plus 9 reverts back to that number that it has added to it. Say 4 plus 9 is 13, but when we add 13, 1 and 3 together, we get 4 again. So it's it reverts back to the number that it's matched with. When we have multiplication and you teach children multiplication, you might teach them the trick of the 9, the secret of 9. Whenever you multiply by 9, that number that you're multiplying by, 9 times 6, right? It is always, the answer is 54, but 5 plus 4 is 9. All the answers that the multiplication tables come to, they add up into 9. So it's kind of like a little secret to get you to remember. And also the fact that they sequentially repeat each other back to back. So 5 and 4 and 6 and 3 and 3 and 6 and 81 and 18, they all, 72, 27, they mirror each other. there's 9 creates nothing new. 9 is a witnesser of totality. It's also, like I said, it's a homage point. It invigorates, solidifies, and motivates all of that which is connected to it, because it sees it for what it truly is. 9 understands how every other phase is really integrally connected to all the others. And 9 really sees itself in 1, because 1 is the initial whole idea. The whole project is birthed with 1. And it's 9 is its partner. It's the finish line. It's the goal. It's doing the whole thing. And so it sees itself in number 1 especially. And this is why I like to call them bookends, and see how they look the same. Like if you have, when I was a kid, I had 2 unicorn ones, you know. They're the same image, and yet they hold all of that, the things together, right? The other point that just to sort of solidify and underline is that I've said this in a couple other videos, and did I say it at the start? I might have said it at the start of this one. The perspective, why I've called this perspective and talked about point of views, is because we're really looking at one thing. It's really the idea. It's really truth. It's really energy creation, or whatever you want to kind of call that as. The different shapes that we saw, the different patterns of flow and movement, the different symbols that I brought up, they actually are all depicting the same thing, just from a different angle, from a different proximity, from a different distance of sight. And so things look different when you look at them from a different time and place, and with a different perspective of, you know, understanding what you're looking at. And so 9 really knows that 8 condenses into 7, which 7 condenses into 6, and 6 condenses into 5, and 5 condenses into 4, 4 condenses into 3, 3 condenses into 2, and 2 condenses into 1. And so 1 is that straight line. 9 is also just a linear straight line, although it knows the secret that within that straight line is held the staircase, is held the helix, is held the circle, is held the lemniscat, is held the toroidal, is held the whole geometry of all platonic solids, of all shapes and forms. And that knowledge then brings us into 8, because we see all of them interact, and with 8 we get that external confirmation that, oh yeah, they are all the same. Oh yeah, they are the same. Oh yeah, when this interacts, that interacts. Oh yeah, when this happens, that also happens, like simultaneously within all these different shapes and structures. So there must be communication. You know, 8 can also be a great time to prove that to ourselves, to really go through all of those different perspectives and see how they are, how they match up, how they lay on top of each other, really, you know. 9 also understands how it can expand and contract, and expand and contract, much like a buckyball. I don't, if you're familiar with Buckminster Fuller, which is like an amazing guy, amazing teacher. If you're interested in geometry and math, in shapes, in metaphysics, honestly, he's amazing in many different ways. Even in architecture, I mean, you might be more familiar with him through architecture, something not quite metaphysical, but I see a lot of spirituality and philosophy and theoretical concepts through his teachings and via his mind, you know. So, but I will say that, you know, just like that ball can be perfectly showcased as this solid formation of different shapes and vertices expanding and contracting, that's what energy grows as, you know, and that's what 9 knows. 9 knows every single phase and shape reverts or changes, exchanges between all the other ones. And like I said before, it honors all. It knows each one is an integral point, and that you can't get to one without the other. So yeah. 9 and 1 are sort of this threshold, this ending and new beginnings. The last thing I'm going to sort of point out about 9 is that although it's non-physical, like I said, it doesn't really look like it's doing anything. It is, and it does. It really seals the deal. You know, it's like the energetic bow on the gift. This is the last thing I know. I'm like, I have one other little crumb that I know I want to mention, which I sort of already touched on, but I'll just, it's this point of recognition and responsibility about what we want to imprint the creation with. What's the intention? Now, intention is originally set with number 1. So again, this is why they're bookends. They are best friends. They mirror each other. 1 can't be without 9, and 9 cannot be without 1. And what the original intention that everything is formed upon really comes out loudly in 9. And it's set in stone at 9. So whether you had a self-serving system in place that has a specific angle of retribution and, you know, in mind for it, you have a chance, or you have the creator consciousness sets the boundary here at this point. So you really seal the polarity and seal the purpose and intention behind the energy system, how it will interact with others, and how you interact with it. Now, sort of habitual mind control mechanisms and things that were put on by society to really identify with our creations, to really identify with things that we've made or invented or come up with or whatever. It can be a really entangling part to where your one sole purpose, your idea, you as the creator are now shackled into 9. And in anything that reflects off of this whole system, it reflects and bounces directly onto you. You are responsible for it. You've got to pay for it. You know, you're held accountable to it. And basically you become like the slave driver master of this whole thing. And so you could never actually be separate from it. It becomes like a ball and chain on you that you drag around everywhere. And that you really have this sort of creative entanglement to. Now, if you've gone into the idea to set it free, if you've had an initial place setting, you know, in number 1 as service to all, and you really are honoring your service, you have this thing built inside you to go out and be a part of the world out there. You know, when you come to 9, it can be easy for you to set things free. It can be easy for you to not shackle yourself to that project or that outcome or this invention or business or whatever it is, for you to really now take a backseat role and to just say, yeah, I created this, but this is how it operates on its own. That's up to it. And I can come in and be an active participant in it, but it doesn't reflect on me, on my character, on my value, on my sovereignty, on my energetic retributions of how I think I get paid for a thing or what I think I'm worth. You know, you can really cut your ties there and allow freedom, set the thing free. This is why a lot of times I use this tag, create freedom, not slavery. And I talk about the creator consciousness within us, how we can either entangle ourselves in creations and enslave ourselves down into them, or choose to set everybody free, including ourselves, in the creative process by having this intention of letting that thing speak for itself, letting it operate on its own, to where I can come in, anyone else can come in, we're free to detach or attach to it at any time, depending on need, you know, for that system's best alignment to the whole. There's a big difference between having a service alignment expected of the great other, of the great whole, of God, source, whatever you like to look at that third-party reality space out here as, sort of a free-for-all for it, versus having something that you think is yours, that you are primarily ownership on, responsible for, and that all interaction and retribution needs to clink back into your bank account about, or into your mind, so that you know everybody's comments or thoughts on it or what they see when they look at it. Like if you're really wrapped up in that and obsess over that, that's what your intention is, to get, to be the sole beneficiary of this thing, then, you're really entangling yourself into something. And don't be surprised when it turns out negative. No matter how much money you make off of it, no matter how much everybody loves it, you'll still have this thing inside you, didn't have enough, not good enough. So being mindful of where your polarity's been at, what your intentions really are for this whole thing to operate as itself or not. And different services are fit for different reasons. Some things do need, have a negative system alignment, but it balances out with another action or with your own positive system alignments, to where you can balance energetically, morally, however you look at this, ethically, to balance your own books with the project. Now we have my lawn man is here, so I guess the perfect time for me to wrap it up before the background noise gets too loud. Thanks for sitting with me through this entire perspectives, understanding about what exactly we're talking about with energetic movement. Super excited to jump in next to this middle portion where I'll talk about numeric values. We'll say what each number itself really means, and from a numerological standpoint. And then after that, I'm going to bring the two together and show how the numbers numerically flow through the flows that we've talked about here through 1 through 9. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.